Welcome back. This is chapter 5, Should Wizard Hit Mommy? Written by John Updike. And now I'm going to explain page number 48 and 49 to you. So here we go. In the evenings, and for Saturday naps like today's, Jack told his daughter Jo a story out of his head. This custom began when she was 2, was itself now nearly 2 years old, and his head felt empty. So here these lines say, Jack told a story in the evening during weekdays because he would return from work only in the evening, and on Saturday, a weekend, he would tell in the afternoon to help her go to sleep. It was Jack's creative ingenuity that he always told a new story created instantly to keep her interested. This routine of storytelling began when Jo was merely 2 years of age, and since then it had been going on for 2 years now. So she was 4 years old, and Jack felt a void in his creativity. Next part. Each new story was a slight variation of a basic tale. A small creature, usually named Roger, Roger Fish, Roger Squirrel, Roger Chipmunk, had some problem and went with it to the wise old owl. The owl told him to go to the wizard, and the wizard performed a magic spell that solved the problem, demanding in payment a number of pennies greater than the number that Roger Creature had. So here these lines say, so far as the story is concerned, there is always a little change from the last one. He used a small creature named Roger in his stories every time. The name remained the same, whereas the change took place in the animal. Sometimes it would be a fish, then squirrel, or then on some other occasion a chipmunk. They all suffered from a problem, and with it, they went to a wise old owl in their respective stories to get some relief. In turn, the old owl sent the Raja to a wizard in the forest. The wizard then would perform a magic spell to get him rid of that existing problem, but not without a hefty fees in return. The problem became intriguing when he would find the amount short with him for payment. Next part. But in the same breath, directing the animal to a place where the extra pennies could be found. Then Roger was so happy he played many games with other creatures and went home to his mother just in time to hear the train whistle that brought his daddy home from Boston. So here these lines say, however, the wizard, out of pity, showed him the place from where he could get the extra amount for his fees. After making the due payment, Roger happily participated in games with his friends, and then, spending some time there with them, He returned home where his mother waited for him. It was also the time for father to return from Boston. Next part. Jack described their supper, and the story was over. Jack described their supper, and the story was over. Working his way through this scheme was especially fatiguing on Saturday because Joe never fell asleep in naps anymore, and knowing this made the ride seem futile. So here this line say, now with the description of Roger's supper, the story would come to an end. This routine task of storytelling on Saturday was especially tiring because Joe never fell asleep during afternoons anymore, and it made this task a wordless exercise. Next part. The little girl. Not so little anymore. The bumps her feet made under the covers were halfway down the bed. Their big double bed that they let her be in for naps and when she was sick, had at last arranged herself, and from the way her fat face deep in the pillows shone in the sunlight shifting through the drawn shades. So here these lines say, Joe was no longer a baby now. Her feet now reached halfway down the big double bed where she was allowed to sleep only during Saturday naps or when she was sick. She had at last nicely arranged herself in bed. A little sunlight coming through the curtains fell on her fat face, which sunk in her pillow. Next part. It did not seem fantastic that some magic would occur and she would take a nap like an infant of 2. Her brother Bobby was 2 and already asleep with his bottle. Jack asked, who shall this story be about today? So here this line say, it did not seem likely that some magic would happen and she would fall asleep like an infant. Her brother Bobby, who was 2 years old, was already asleep with his bottle in mouth. Jack at this point would want to know from her as who she would like to find in this new story. So this is all for now. Thank you.